Okay, we're live. Hey, cool. It's amazing. You don't have a start button. You just flick and you're gone. This is a YouTube live stream, which I'll repurpose. Boy, I should improve the lighting. That's the thing you can't do. You're not seeing yourself before you go live, although I probably could do a selfie. Anyway, this is Mike Ratner, and I'm talking to you December 8th, 2022. So the purpose of this talk is because I appreciate the shares online, by the way. And some of my emails have been getting a little bit of circulation. I'll send it to somebody who goes, oh, somebody I know might be interested in your social theories. So that's what I do. I come up with these different things. How does this look? It's all right. And by the way, it's a nice day. We're expecting a lot of snow, wet snow tomorrow, but right now it's okay. Yeah, I could probably show you outside, but we're going to get off topic. Yeah, you can't really see. The light is not too good in here, but I'm fine. Anyway, getting ready for vacation trip and stuff. But so let's talk about MORB theory, which I guess I get the most questions about. It's not like I have a big following or a crowd that's interested, but I do think the ideas are, so I'm happy to share them. So I came up with MORB, which is an acronym, MORB, and it stands for the Modus Operandi of Rational Behavior, or relational bonding, or you could say in the sense that, we have a way of existing. And for some of us that maybe are not what some people call I-aware. So if you can have any kind of awareness, are you aware of yourself? Now, we're not talking about lost in your mind about what I talk about in IGO, IGOISM.com. And by the way, my name is Mike Ratner, if you didn't read the details before. And I guess I'm a social theorist in some regard, ontologist, which is some form of relating to conceptions of identity. So this MORB character stands for the modus operandi of rational behavior, your MORB. So it's either, how you relate to others, or it's what's rational in your mind, and you're going to behave in this regard. So as one relates to their thinking, the question is, are they aware that they are thinking, that they are the thinker of the thoughts, and therefore they're generating whatever it is going on? And we can comprehend things and figure them out. This is what intelligence, what people could call also emotional intelligence, just sort of a sense that you have some idea of who you are and what personality or persona you're projecting. Now, if it's just to yourself and what you picture in your mind, I call it the IGO. Instead of ego, it's IGO, I-G-O, because you go there, right? IGOism.com. So IGOISM.com for that kind of reading. But I want to talk about the MORB and kind of give it as an introduction. So I was kind of inspired, to come up with this because in my, this is when I was just working on my master's degree in education. I was describing to a good friend of mine, Julia, at the time, and this is going back to the late 90s, I guess. Wow. And I said, in causality, like where the person is in someone's space, I often find that if there is a connection, and of course we can value a relationship and just be easygoing with a friend or a buddy, but there are some people that seem to have an agenda. And so I said that they're not really kind of upfront about it, or maybe they're not that clear on how to ask for something. But I said that they're kind of like, it's a mask over their face. So that was the M, where the M came. And I said, but they keep the mask on as they keep orbiting around what they want or kind of talk about, or they bring it up over and over again or indirectly reference it. And I said, it's kind of like, they're wanting something, going around and around something. So that was the orbit. And there was a mask on it. And then it just took me a while, maybe a year or two. And I said, oh, MO. It's an MO. Modus operandi. It means some people have an agenda. It's their MO, the way they operate. But otherwise, modus operandi is just a way. It could be habitual, just the style. It could be someone's personality in the sense that what is felt and sort of what they distribute in terms of their personality is their modus operandi, their way of operating. Modus operandi. You can Google it or search your favorite search engine. I should really probably go this way. There you go. All right. So you have your MO, and then the RB just came about. Well, obviously, if it's a disguise, wearing a mask over your intentions, you still have to appear rational in your behavior. Otherwise, there's no chance of getting what you want. So I named it as an entity, as a MORB, and it's a morbid characteristic because the ID comes in that for a person to be really aware has to be a little bit more awake of their processes. We'll talk more about this, but the ID, the generator of identities, ID, another acronym, and it simply to me was internal dialogue, what you're saying to yourself about yourself or how you perceive other people. If you're other than aware of your internal dialogue, you're not fully in any comprehensible way consciously awake to your own thinking, the words that you're using and the way you're acting. So I call that your TWA, thoughts, words, and actions, the flight you take every day. And that came out of, really just sort of esoteric writing I read online when I was like 13, where you want to sort of have some awareness of whatever it is you're thinking and projecting, right? If you're not the thinker of your thoughts, who is? Now, obviously, thoughts can be given to you. You get the narratives of society, the feelings of what I describe as a metasphere, social atmosphere, metasphere. So metaphorically speaking, there could be a lot of sense impressions given to you that inform what you then adopt as you're thinking. And it can come from media and peers, your friends, family, traditions that you adopted, so forth, right? So you want to be consciously aware and appreciative of those things, but yet we don't want to be so unconscious that we're other than aware that those factors might be indirectly or directly controlling us because we sort of live and die by the sort of being attached to this identity, which is simply your internal dialogue. It's what you say about yourself. And if you're really concerned about identity attachment, you might also want to read another writing of mine called Cringe Factors, Cringe. I call it cringe because when these things come up, I get a cringe, but also they describe tools of oppression and submission. So the cringe is another acronym and stands for how we identify through class structures. And class consciousness also plays into this. And you could be a classy person, but we're talking about class and structure of strata of society. So that's important. And then R's, race factors. We seem to talk an awful lot about race, right? Class, race, and the I is perceived, which is your income, because income's a big part of identity. And N for nationalism, the nation, state type, presentation of who you identify with. And then gender as well, and ethnicity. So that acronym spells out cringe, CRINGE, factors.com. Cringefactors.com is where you can find the writing at. So those things inform our identity, and we're other than aware of adopting, and then we become sort of defensive of particularly, perhaps being a man, the male thing, how you're supposed to be. And you play out these scenarios that are givens. These things are given to you in society. It's part of our conditioning, the way that we grow up, right? And educated in institutions that adopt certain models that then give to you because they rely on you to replicate them. Because if you don't reproduce them, they fail to exist or go on in their quote unquote meaningful existence of what they're all about. So there's a lot of these factors in society that have in their best interest that people act a certain way, think a certain way, talk a certain way, because it reproduces that what I describe as noun reality. It's a reproduction of the things that we enjoy the best. We talk about people, places, and things. It's a noun reality. It's what's known to the morbid identity. So again, MORB is the modus operandi of rational behavior and the way that it's operating and existing within this realm that I describe as a mass trance. It's a metasphere it's really just a construction of reality. It's a manufactured mindset in a way because we're adopted everything from the language we use and the commodities. And the commodities to me are just, what the norms are and everyday expectations that we meet that are met. And on the surface, there's nothing really wrong with it. This is what we are generating and living our day-to-day life. Most of us have jobs and an occupation, are not ranting and raving about social theories online, and get along in the best way that they can with their associates at work and their community or setting of friends and family. If they're involved in any organization, charity, or church group, whatever it would be that they're connected to, and it could just be their bar buddies, there's going to be a certain dynamic in that connection that's going to inform a metasphere that then sort of in the way that we conform and exist within this realm, it is MORB, because there has to be a modus operandi to relate and to behave and to be rational that allows us to sort of become this projected egoism, this ego. that's a nice summation of it. So if you like it, you can find more about this writing. I definitely would advise checking out the BIDECK, which I'll talk about perhaps next, BIDECK. So like holodeck, but BIDECK, BIDECK.masstrance.com. Yes, the hypnosis of society. MASS, M-A-S-S, trance, TRANCE.com. So BIDECK.masstrance.com. And just rewind to replay that. But otherwise, the writings, I do tend to create links into one that kind of informs the other, so you get a better sense of it. And then my homepage website, which you can find this as well, MikeRatner.com, in case you're wondering. Anyway, I hope it's of interest to you. I mean, obviously, there's some books and perhaps communityconversations.com that can come out of this idea. How do we awaken from the morbidity? Because it becomes morbid when we're other than attentively aware of the processing and the impositions. We are becoming oppressors because we reproduce a way of being that we have to have others sort of respect. And where there could be good qualities of quote unquote woke, being aware of our TWA, the thoughts that we're projecting and hold for ourselves, right? Makes sense. The quality of the words we use and the way that we act. Well, there's a dimension to becoming a bit more aware and a bit more attuned that wakes us out of the morbidity. So we're a bit more consciously attuned to our ID, the internal dialogue we're holding. And then we can kind of let it go because we're no longer attached to this art of formation, now adopted and then forcing others to sort of fit into this restriction. It's not freedom. It's not really sort of a high case example of enlightenment, what the potential is of having a connected community and relationship that really is boundless because it's based on really deeper factors of love, care, respect, honor, permission oriented to be who you are, but also a little bit of a seedling to think about, well, if we're going to be aligned, and socially proactive and be a contributor to community and to sort of refine one's identity, or at least a knowingness in the way that I'm being, I'd want to be present on a level that I describe as ultra being. And I talk about that in other talks. Ultra being means ultra being really attuned, present to you. And that can come from a source of care and love, right? From source. And it's really just being natural. So that sort of ends the morbidity parts of it because we become a bit more attuned to our own agendas and our thinking processes that are no longer subjecting us to the forms that we're creating and kind of bouncing back, echo and replicate, because now we're a bit more representative of something that's a bit more refined. And it shows up in your mannerisms, and you are the demonstration or the example of this. And I term this ultra being. And the formula is UBE3, and we'll end it here. Ultra being, an excellent example of enlightenment, as you know it to be, as you practice it, right? Because it is a practice of being present. Ultra being, UBE3. Ultra being, an excellent example of enlightenment, as you know it to be and can express it. All right. MikeRatner.com, and hopefully some stuff of interest here. Hope you enjoyed it. Thank you.